Welcome back to another episode of Vidyamitra podcast series. Here we focus on helping students, entrepreneurs, and aspiring professionals to understand how I can do a better job. Now, what is the mantra we adopt? We will invite people who have literally gone through deep expertise. It can be leadership in mental wellness and transformation, and learn from their valuable lessons. Today, we have with us a personality who is a renowned celebrity psychologist, a TEDx speaker, a TEDx coach, having a decade of experience blending psychology, intuitive coaching, and Eastern wisdom. This personality is a founder of ManoSamvaada and Vishisht Wellness, helping leaders, entrepreneurs, and professionals try to discover better clarity and holistic growth. He also has served as a president of E-Club of Rotary Bengaluru, Green City, and has authored inspiring books on mental health. His signature programs are Live a Life Full of Freedom and Netrutvam. He has won multiple awards. The most important, he has got the Social Impact Corona Warrior Award. Ladies and gentlemen, it's absolute privilege to welcome Akshara ji to our podcast series.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Vinodji. It's a pleasure for me to be here.
Lovely. And when I read through the profile, the first question that comes to my mind, celebrity psychologist, because we have only seen in TVs, even filmfare shows and big people. I've heard about trainers, fitness coach, psychologist. So, Akshara ji ke man mein kya tha ki you have to enter into this space, and what is that push for you?
So it's been a very nice but quite long journey. So I think the trigger to become a psychologist started when I was studying in my graduation. I was doing my graduation, and then people were kind of openly sharing their issues with me, and then I would share my reflections, suggestions, and so on. Do this, or maybe you try this. And then people would come back and tell me that, hey, this worked. Whatever you suggested actually worked. So it's like very nice. So, but then again, in my mind, there was another question. Okay, now it is working. I don't know how long it is going to work. So I wanted to learn the whole idea or the discipline as such, because I was reading a lot of articles, books, something like that. So I said, let me go to proper master's degree so that I can understand and learn it. So that's how I did my master's in psychology. But later on, I understood that master's is not really giving you enough skills or tools or real wisdom, or that whatever the holistic approach that you need to have as a psychologist doesn't come soon after finishing your master's. That realization happened through my guru, who just told me in front of so many other people that you're unfit to become a psychologist. And I was already carrying a badge of being a psychologist. So that is when things changed drastically. And then I started exploring, or in fact, I went under his tutelage for a year and then understood the nuances of it. And then I got 2, 3 other different gurus who taught me the nuances of being a therapist. And that's how I specialized in different techniques. And inner child healing is one of the major techniques that I'm a specialist with, which is more like a psychosurgery. Maybe I'll tell about it in a deeper level at later point of time. So that is how the journey of being a psychologist started. And during COVID time itself, or even before, I think 2018-19 was the time when few celebrities started approaching, because they also have their own problems in their life. Right? And at the end of the day, they are also human beings. Right? So that is when I started working with them. But then again, it was not I didn't see too many people coming from that space. But during COVID, that became a big number. I mean, a lot of people wanted to approach, take sessions. In fact, some people have said that if they were not taking sessions, probably they wouldn't have lived in this world at all, because they had a lot of anxiety, identity crisis, and then loneliness, so many issues that they were going through. So that is how I started working with a lot of celebrities in Bollywood, Tollywood, Sandalwood, Collywood, and many other places. Not just the cinema actors. I've also worked with the cricket players. I've also worked with the musicians. So people who are, even some authors have come to me to take sessions. So who are very well known. So I'm not supposed to name them as a matter of privacy, but then, so that way I have worked with celebrities of different kinds and different journeys themselves. Yeah.
Really nice. I think this is how I feel that, one need to identify the niche. So where a large number of people are curious about psychology, I want to help. Again, finite it, then probably help the right personalities. So hats off. Um,
Thank
yeah. One more thing which made me curious is when you use the word inner child specialist. When I was scanning through the internet, a lot of appreciations on two programs. One is Netrutvam and Live a Life Full of Freedom. Can you give a glimpse about these programs? What is that USP, magic mantra of Aksharaji?
Absolutely. Inner child is one technique. I think it has become, or it has changed my life personally, because while learning this technique, my teacher actually made on all of us to go through the sessions again and again. So after 4, 5, 6 months, I was like, okay, I have healed so many things. Why do you want me to go through it again? But then my teacher was very clear that there is much more. How much ever you dig, deeper you go, you find more things that are still stuck in your system. So I think almost 1.5 years was the course duration, and she made us to dig deeper traumas that were seated in our unconscious. Now, where do these trauma come from? As human beings, we, as in the process of development or in the process of growing up, because of so many experiences, we develop certain functional patterns, certain dysfunctional patterns. When I say functional pattern, something that works, something that is useful, something that is becoming a kind of uh, a, a tool or a behavioral pattern or an emotional pattern that is supporting you. But dysfunction pattern is becoming hindrance. It could be self doubt, it could be trust issue, it could be confidence issue, or it could be anxiety, anger, so stress, all of those things. So trauma can come because of any negative experience and the meaning that we have created out of that. So once I started doing inner child healing, one thing that I realized is that people are able to release their baggage that they have been carrying from a long time. In fact, there were some cases where people have liberated the trauma of around 50, 60 years at the age of 80. Or I have young adults like at the age of 23, 25 coming to me, but liberating their trauma that they have been carrying since the age of 5. So the a gap, I mean, baggage of 20 years is liberated in a session. So this is what started happening. But then one more question came to my mind is that, okay, they are liberated of the trauma, but what are they doing with that freedom? Correct. So that is where I started integrating coaching aspects into my the therapeutic aspect. Like, therapy will heal the past, bring you to the present, and then coaching will help you to create a better future. So two things happen. One, a tangible outcome of a therapy was visible out there. Could be in terms of business growth or professional growth and so on. And secondly, it is not just we are addressing the trauma of the past, but we are also giving a direction to the new energy that is generated out there so that they can actually explore their life to the fullest instead of saying, oh, my life is like this, oh, my fate is like this, or instead of putting or attributing several factors as reasons for their state of being stuck, they started getting the direction and they scale in their life. So that is one important thing that happens in life full of freedom. So that's why I have called it as freedom is the core element there. And emotional freedom is definitely possible. A lot of people often ask me, Are you sure that you can take out the trauma that we have been carrying for so many years? And I definitely say with full confidence, it is yes. Provided you are ready to go through the process, because it's not that I am going to do everything. That's why my company's name is also ManoSamvaada, which stands for Manas and Samvada, conversation. And conversations happens on the same pedestal. There is no hierarchy there. So I never call therapist is on a higher pedestal than a client. We are all unequal, and it is always a collaborative effort. That is where actual outcome turns out to be great one. The second program, the Netrutvam, this came out of a very curious question that I had in my mind, because corporate world has been romanticizing empathetic leadership. I'm sure you work with a lot of corporates, so you would know that people keep talking about empathetic leadership. But one question that I had in my mind was, how many empathetic leaders are really successful, especially in a country like India? And I conducted a small short survey to understand how is it working, because I need to have a primary data to talk about anything. And what I saw is most of them who were trying to practice or trying to be an empathetic leader were miserably failing in meeting the numbers, in the sense in terms of their business targets or in terms of profit margins and so on. And then I wondered, why is it happening? Then one of the things that came to my realization is that the people were using the empathetic leaders for their advantage. सर मेरा आज सर दर्द आ रहा है, या मेरे पेट में कुछ गड़बड़ है, या मेरा कुछ घर पे कुछ सलाह मतलब प्रॉब्लम है, कलेश है. So people would give reasons, and empathetic leaders were like, to be empathetic, they have to understand. Again, unfortunate reality is the definition of empathy as putting yourself into other shoes itself is a miserable definition, in my opinion. Because in the name of understanding their shoes or putting yourself into their shoes, you end up being confused yourself. And people just take this advantage. So I said empathy has to be balanced with assertiveness. Then only people take you seriously as a leader. Otherwise, they think that you are a weak leader. You do not have a command. Right. So that is how the Netrutvam evolved as a program, which fundamentally talks about balancing between empathy and assertiveness. And I have created 15 different S. I mean, 15 different traits and skills as certain things that a leader should have. Again, these are all based on Indian ethos and Indian traditional system or knowledge that we have got. So I sometimes share stories of Mahabharata, Ramayana, or other Puranas, so that we have understood these concepts in a story format, but we do not inculcate in our day to day life. So that is where I teach those things to Netrutvam, to the leaders, and they have been able to. I mean, a couple of things have happened out of it. In the sense, the leaders have been able to achieve their personal goals as leaders, which is also missing many times, because once you become a leader of an organization, you take away all your personal goals. So they are able to achieve their personal goals. They're able to achieve the company's goals as an organization. At the same time, they are also able to give that sense of belongingness to the employees, because they are empathetic also. So that was the important thing that happened. So that is how Netrutvam is also becoming one of the hotcakes for corporate leaders.
Beautiful. I think because wherever we have heard in terms of Bhagavad Gita also, that is what is being said. It's an encyclopedia of understanding oneself better. Second, the entire dilemma is being portrayed in the form of a narrative where it's all human. So I truly respect your Eastern wisdom and the guru's mindset for helping you. And I was very much impressed with the one word that the guru was very blunt in making a statement. Akshara, you are not ready for it. I think that
Absolutely.
that's a true Indic spirit, which the entire world is now talking about. Now, you made me more curious that there are 15 traits which you are articulating through to become one, an efficient leader, an empathetic leader, as well as in personal and professional lives. So, I don't want to reveal your trade secrets, but for an ordinary person who wish to be better in balancing personal and professional life, वो जो 3 simple tips या कुछ उपाय.
Okay. Okay. So, for any person, I mean, I think not just corporate leaders who are managing 2,000, 3,000 people, even somebody who is managing 5, 6 people, or even 2, 3 people, also, or even if you are a solopreneur, you have to have leadership qualities in you. Otherwise, you cannot really uh, excel in uh, business. Or even if you're a professional for that matter, leadership qualities keep coming into picture. So, one aspect is samvedana, which is empathy in a different way. In the sense, samvedana is again not putting your shoes into other person. You are relating, or you are kind of compassionate towards the other person. It is not, you're not saying that, okay, I understand your world. I only say, I can relate to what you're saying. So, for example, if I go through a pain and I share it with you, you may relate with what I'm going through. You cannot understand exactly what I'm going through. Right? So, Samvedana is one of it, which actually helps. In fact, even, I mean, generally we get to hear one common thing, that listening is one of the best things that you can gift to another person. Right? In today's world, when everyone is busy, in the same way, irrespective of your profession or position, if you are having that ability to reciprocate or ability to relate with another person by giving complete listening, that itself helps in business conversions or be enabling the employees to do things for whatever the tasks that are there in hand. Second is sahanashilata. Sahanashilata is tolerance. You have to have tolerance in terms of making the other person to learn things, making the other person to have differences of opinion, giving that space for them to express. So when you are having that sahanashilata, that's when you will be able to be more open to new ideas. Some of them may be not really useful, but some of them may be gem. Right? You never know. So having sahanashilata is very, very important so that you can be patient. And so that's what I always say, that you have to be consistently working towards something on a regular basis. Nothing happens overnight. And the last one, I mean, out of 15, I'm just revealing 3 here. Samyak drishti, the holistic perspective. What is that you look for? What is the overall vision that you have? Not just for yourself, but for your organization, also for your society. Because without society, you are nobody. You do not exist at all. So, and when I say society, it is country at large or world at large. Right? So, how do you look at, say, and one of the things that I always say is, in whatever I am creating, am I creating everything good, or are there any other negative consequences also? Right? I have to be mindful of that also. Otherwise, what is happening in the today's world is, we create a solution, and that solution itself creates another problem, and then we find another solution for to address that problem. Basically, I mean, yesterday I was talking to another doctor. So one of the friends was asking him a question, that I had a throat pain, or doctor gave me a medicine for that. In order to remove the side effects of this medicine, he gave me another medicine in order to reduce the side effect of that medicine. This is becoming a chain. So a leader who has samyak drishti will reduce this chain of reactions that would happen because of the solution that he or she is providing. So that we are, instead of treating the environment later after polluting it, let us reduce the pollution in the first place, so that we are creating a more sustainable environment overall. So I feel these are the 3 things that everyone of us should have.
Great. I'm able to resonate to one of the key podcast speakers when they say, listening without judging. If you have got a friend, that is your best friend. So
Absolutely.
I think you're on dot, and very interesting that you have curated entire Sanskrit names starting with S for the entire 15 traits. So hopefully when we attend your leadership program, we'll reveal, or probably we'll get another 12 more. So looking forward to that. Now, apart from this leadership and understanding the people's mindset. You are an expert in wellness coach, being a psychologist plus Indic psychology. When I was glancing through, you are one of the top TEDx speakers too, plus coach. So you always have this amplified model, just like Apple does. iPhone Pro Max 17. So very happy in that space. आपने उस TEDx पे you have spoken in detail on relationships. और उस पे आपने एक फॉर्मूला भी बोला था. कैन यू गिव अस वो क्या राज है टफ फॉर्मूला और क्या कर सकते हैं हम उससे?
Definitely. I think the idea of tough formula came again in the process of working with one of my clients on relationship, where she came and told me that something is missing in my relationship, and she was kind of getting engaged, and it was a confused relationship in the sense they were friends, and guy proposed her. She was not really serious about it, and it was an intercaste. So she was like, okay, her parents are not going to agree for it. Again, as friends, everyone had visited each other's house, so parents were familiar with the guy. And the guy took the courage to go reach out to the parents, and they agreed because I mean, out of the blue, they just said, हाँ, okay, अच्छा लड़का है, तो कर सकते हैं, हमें कोई दिक्कत नहीं. And then when he came back to the girl and said, hey, your parents have agreed, shall we go ahead? Then she was like, now what do I do? Because I thought the parents would not agree. So she didn't want to say no directly on his face. Again, it was not a definite no also. It was not that she didn't appreciate him as a person, but somehow she had not thought about him in that way. So this was a very complex situation about a relationship. Now she's going to get engaged, and now she has to lead a life with him. And then how do I enter? So that is where I was trying to figure out what are the pillars of a relationship, and if they are strong enough, then rest of the things can be taken care. In the sense, there could be so many hundreds of other things that would contribute to a relationship, but what are the fundamentals? So that's how I came up with the tough formula. So tough formula stands for trust, understanding, freedom, friendship, time. So when all these five things are intact in any relationship, then it is a long lasting one. So initially it was for a couple, but then later on when I observed the same thing holds true for colleagues, same thing holds true for friends, same thing holds true for business relationship, same thing holds true for relationship between the countries, right? Even in foreign affairs, if you look at it is the trust between the countries, it is the understanding. That is why we do MOUs, right? And then the freedom, so that each country has its own choices to make with in terms of having relationship with other countries. At the same time, friendship, being there for each other. At the same time, the country leaders should spend good amount of time with each other so that the relationship nurtures over a period of time. So this is how tough formula evolved from a couple. Now it can be applied even for the multi-dimensional perspective of relationship.
Another master stroke where you have further nailed that definitely understanding, friendship, everything is important, but you started with the word trust, which the entire globe. So hats off. I wish you take a patent on it and let it become a Bharatiya model for relationship. Coming to the next curiosity, you also have been working with intuitive tools like Tarot for business decisions and inner child healing. From your long series of experience, what is that one common emotional block you have seen holding the entrepreneurs? Basically, first 5 to 10 years, there is always a dilemma. Probably like, okay, I was having a job. My mind says I want to go into business, but my heart says, no, it is risky. So, from your point of view, what is that common thread that seemed to be blocking that growth mindset? And what is the tip for overcoming?
Very beautiful question because, as you rightly said, whenever I mean, for a lot of people who are working in a systematic organization kind of a thing, they feel that entrepreneurs are leading a better life because entrepreneurs are like, I mean, generally that is what is said, that you do not have to apply for leave, you do not have to take permissions from others, which is partially true because I often say that once you become an entrepreneur, you do not have to apply for leave because you do not get a leave in the beginning. In the initial years, when you are setting up your business, you do not have time, do not get that leave. You have to work 24 by 7 in a very systematic way, motivating yourself because there is no boss who is going to keep on asking, ye kaam ho gaya kya, wo kaam ho gaya kya. You only have to keep asking yourself, do the thing. So that's the toughest work that entrepreneur would have. So first is discipline. Second is rejections. That say whenever you, I mean, just because I come out with a product, Dr. Vinodji need not buy that product. Even if you are a good friend of Akshara, still you may say, oh, that's nice product, very nice. I will talk about it or I'll share about it to somebody, whoever would be needing it. Everyone would not buy it, right? Even though the person has not outrightly rejected, still it is a rejection. If the other person has not bought it, it is a rejection, right? And there are cases where people have blatantly blasted on your product, saying, hey, this is a rubbish product. I'm going to buy an imported European product, something like that. How much ever, I mean, in the recent past, this consciousness about Bharatiyata has been evolving very vibrantly, which is a very good thing. In fact, now we are moving towards or preferring make in India products in that way. Even when we are looking at global brands, again, we look at is it made in India? Correct. So that is happening, but overall, if you look at, still there is a lot of rejections that keep coming on our way. And handling those rejections become a very, very big challenge. And that remains as an emotional baggage. So that's why whenever you think of, so okay, after a lot of hard work, you reach one stage. After that, if you have to scale it beyond, then that again, that fear of rejection keeps on bothering you. So likewise, as an entrepreneur, we carry so many emotional baggages. We have trust issues. Somebody cheated us. Somebody said, hey, I will do this for you, do that for you. Money is gone, nothing came back. Then we develop trust issues. We do not trust anybody, even if they are genuinely telling something to us. And if that is also another problem that comes up or comes on our way, that if somebody says good things to us, then we are like, why is he or she talking good things to me? Or what is the agenda behind it? So we are always worried about the agenda. Right? So these are all the emotional baggages that keep bothering them. And because of that, they are unable to make right decisions at the right time. Somebody or some people may have great ideas, but if it is not executed at the right time, then it is of no use because somebody else who had the execution energy would go ahead of you. Like in India, it's not about first mover advantage, it's about how you execute. Right. So that's where we are getting stuck. So while I was working at the emotional level by using child healing and other things, at the same time, sometimes where some of the entrepreneurs came up with this kind of questions where all the three, four directions that are appearing in front of me are appearing to be bright. But as an individual or as a small organization or as a startup, I do not have the bandwidth to go to all the five directions at the same time. So I need to strategize myself. Otherwise, I will spread all over and be nowhere. So I need to strategize and I need to figure out what is the right direction. So that's where I happened to learn tarot. This happened as one of the success stories I proudly say that I actually turned around one restaurant. The owner of the restaurant was actually thinking of selling it off because he was seeing a lot of troubles and some roadblocks and so on. But then I said, see, I think you can wait for an year and see how it progresses because I'm seeing good cards for you. And then it happened so that within a year, the restaurant became profitable. It started moving towards a good growth phase. And then uh, that actually became a trigger saying, oh, tarot can be used for business consultations in terms of making strategic planning And now I have been onboarded by many companies as a strategic planner, again from an intuitive perspective. Because, see, logically, if you look at things, many things appear possible in 10 years, 20 years. But sometimes, if you use the magic, whatever can happen in 10 years can happen in a year. It's all about how are you hitting the right place or right place at the right time. So that is where tarot is becoming a beautiful tool. In fact, and maybe another time I will share many success stories. Like uh, people had come to me with couple of options, and then I said no to few, yes to few, and then they became very successful in those three, even though they came up with an intention to invest in the twos, those which I had rejected. And then they got to know that the persons who were interested or who were going to be the partners in those projects were actually not really faithful, and they were having debts of their own. So whatever the money that they would have invested would have gone into filling up the debt than becoming business development. So that ways it has actually helped many ways. In fact, many celebrities also consult me for the same. That should I take up this project? It's a big question because sometimes story appears nice, but you are never sure whether the people are going to accept it. Right? Should I take up this role? Should I take up this project? Or should I work with this person? So that ways people come up with so many different kinds of questions. And tarot has been a guiding tool. Again, I am just a vehicle. It is the cosmic energy which guides me to guide them. But it has been a beautiful, fantastic tool that I have explored for myself. So, yeah, that's how it is working.
That's really interesting. Since you gave a detail plus a couple of caselets, you are a leading celebrity psychologist in Bengaluru. If I am in Mumbai or in Chennai, how can I approach ManoSamvaada?
And this is again another interesting question because in 2016 itself, I was a propagator of online mode for therapy. A lot of senior psychologists or other mental health practitioners actually criticized me very badly because they never agreed this model of intervention at all. They always said therapy happens only in person, cannot happen virtually. But then again, for me, it was not the tech savvy mindset of alone, but also I didn't have money to establish a full fledged clinic. And psychology as a profession was not really revered at that point of time. I mean, people always were skeptical to go to a psychologist unless they had so much of credibility and name. And for a young psychologist at that point of time, building that credibility would need time and would need a more number of clients to come in. That was not feasible at that point of time. So I said, I don't have money. So as an entrepreneur, I'm not somebody who is going to just sit down and m- look at the problem and say, oh, this is my fee. So I wanted to figure out the solutions for that. So that's where I started exploring the online platform and it started working. In fact, young people actually started accepting this as an idea. In fact, I started with Skype as a platform at that point of time. And then GoToMeeting was another platform that was being used at that point of time. And now online mode is very much accepted. So people from across the globe are approaching me, be it Singapore, Malaysia, Dubai, US, Canada, Kenya. So varieties of places are being explored through the mode of online, and it is become very convenient. Even people sitting within a city like Bangalore, coming to the therapy center itself is very tedious process with a lot of traffic and other things. So people prefer having an online session also within the city. So it is happening both the ways, online and offline. But at the same time, I'm also seeing clients from Hyderabad and Mumbai traveling all the way to Bangalore have in-person sessions also. So I am seeing a mixture of both uh, things coming up there. But whoever wants to have a session, they can definitely approach online. And online sessions are quite effective. I would not say they can replace in-person session because in-person meetings are always special and different than uh, and a virtual meet. But I would definitely say virtual meets are equally effective. Virtual sessions are quite, they're giving good results.
I think that's another important thing because going with the trend and helping people on a larger base. And since I think this is one of the reason during the COVID response as a chief counselor of Sahai, you were either proactive in taking up and helping larger crowd because just now when you mentioned about the word psychologist, at least 5 to 7 years before, if I am going to a psychologist, my entire family will say, Vinod, you are having some problem, or they might not tell me, they'll tell others. But now people are accepting because even if there is some exam stress or difference of opinion, I just wanted to correct myself in the smallest manner. So psychology has become a very good friend. So in that COVID time, because it is pure randomness, again, very sad that right now we are having another, a tough time in Middle East and things like that. So people are worried. So maybe I'm sure Aksharaji would have got a tough time because multiple calls, and 4 years ago, probably this extent of technology was also not there. Every day we are progressing. What were your key lessons in that tough space, and what is your advice to youth also?
Yeah, I think COVID has taught us so many lessons. Um, As a chief counselor, again, it was just came out of a core group discussion that happened. So other person actually took the lead. His name is Gurumurthy. He took the lead, and he kind of brought a couple of people together because it was not just about psychologists. We needed tech support, we needed a triaging system, and so many other things were involved. So he brought in all of us, and then we started thinking about how do we solve this problem, because a lot of people are going through anxiety, uh, fear, and uncertainty in life. And life was becoming really tough. So that is where the Sahai came into existence, and then we started using counseling as a mode to reach out to people, and we started getting a lot of calls. So one of the things is, okay, we created a system. We had to train a lot of psychologists to adapt to this model. Now the interesting part was I had gotten used to this online or virtual mode since 2016, but not many other psychologists had gotten used to it. So we had to train them how to empathize or how to take sessions. And secondly, working in a helpline is very different from working with your regular clients. In your regular clients, you have enough time to build that rapport and then take it forward. And you know the client, you know their issues. But in a helpline, you randomly get a call and you have no clue about them. And still, you have to take control of the situation, create something for them. Like we have got calls from people who were standing on the railway tracks and saying that I do not have any faith in life anymore. Uh, just felt like calling one last time somebody. So we had to save such people, and we do not have any geographical location of them. And even though passenger trains were stopped or halted, the truck or the goods trains were still moving. So it is not a false alarm. We couldn't sit back and say nobody's traveling on the railway tracks. No, the rails were still moving. So we had to take them away from such situations. Or there were cases where a mother had called us and said, can you take care of my son from tomorrow onwards? Because I'm not going to be there alive from tonight. So, hey, this was a case from Bangalore itself. But I mean, we had some connects with the police people and so on, but still we couldn't save her. By the time we could, because she was not revealing the address, she just said, no, 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 that is not required. Don't try to save me, just save my kid. So these were very traumatic cases. And unfortunately, as psychologists, we are also human beings. And we also were facing our own uncertainties in life. Our own family member was falling sick. We ourselves were falling sick. And at the same time, we also do not know how long this is going to continue, or what is the solution for this pandemic. At the same time, we had to manage the emotions of these people. So there were two, three things that we had to do. One, take care of the emotions of the people who are calling us. At the same time, take care of the psychologists who are taking care of them, and at the same time, manage this whole system. So it was a different learning altogether. I mean, I would sit to in front of my laptop from morning 6 till late night, say 12, 1, 2, whatever. And of course, we created a good hierarchy so that if not me, somebody else would take care. So it was like uh, many times we do not get too many calls in the night, but we have to be available for whatever the calls that are coming in the night. So because the night calls are very, very traumatic and they are very quite, they are very intense. Most of them will have suicidal ideation. So the therapist has to be extremely skilled to hold the ground for them. So we learned a lot of lessons through the intervention that we could do. I mean, there are many other helplines. We also had collaboration with other helplines also at that point of time. Many helplines have worked at that point of time, irrespective of the numbers. We reached couple of thousands. Some people have reached a couple of more thousands, or some of them have reached lakhs together. In fact, NIMHADS took a lead role in doing that work. So credit goes to every frontline worker, right from those who gave food to the people who were in need. So credit goes to everyone who fought as a warrior at that point of time. But we, as mental health practitioners, had our own lessons to be learned and how to collaborate. Because generally, if you ask me, do you want to connect with another psychologist? Very few will be open to it because I do not want to give away my client to another therapist. And same goes to them as well. So that kind of very few collaborations actually work in the mental health space. During Sahai, we actually collaborated. We said, as one individual, I cannot handle all of them. We need a team. So we had around 25 psychologists working together. It was a beautiful experience where we dropped all our egos as being a psychologist and we said, let us all work towards the bigger cause of mental health for all the people. So it's a fantastic. I mean, uh, I don't know how. I mean, if we dig deeper, so many lessons, so many lessons for our own life that we could learn through it.
I think, yes, one of the most important word you have used is collaboration, because that's a mantra where I have to help, and it's like a we, not I. The capital I is being reduced. Now, one more step ahead, because any profession, it is not only about psychology, even musician. And by the way, you are also one of the finest Carnatic music. So any field for that matter, some domination effect is there. Okay, this is my forte. This is my special raga. Wherever I do this composition, even though Tyagaraja never has cited, but still, uh, that's part of it, being a human. So, in this world of AI, where India is talking about a revolution that is expected, how do you think the traditional psychology version can accelerate, or according to your point of view, how AI can imbibe the psychology domain to a larger extent?
This is a burning question in the present time. And in fact, I'm also doing a research on the same topic in the sense how people are accepting or how people are receiving AI in the mental health space. Because again, this question or this research got triggered because in one of the events that I had gone, I mean, somebody asked me, what do you do? And then I said, I'm a psychologist. And immediately the person's response was, oh, I have ChatGPT. I was like, oh, really? Uh, in a way, it is interesting that people are asking questions about their life, but at the same time, whom are they asking? Is another question. And whether while again AI tools are really fantastic in many ways, I have a lot of respect to all the AI tools in the sense they are making our lives much easier in the present time. But then at the same time, how authentic they are is also another question because one of the problems is the person who is coming for a therapy is extremely in vulnerable condition. They are extremely vulnerable and they're going to believe whatever the therapist is going to say. Now, if they are replacing a therapist with an AI, we do not know the authenticity of the suggestions that the AI tool is going to give. In fact, as a part of my study, what I found is there are so many cases that are filed in United States of America against OpenAI or similar AI tools, because what they have found is the family members have found that the person was continuously chatting with these AI softwares. Again, let us not only name few companies; all of them are included. Um, so the person was chatting with the AI chatbot, and the chatbot actually instigated the person to commit suicide or do some wrong things in their life. So that is where credibility of AI comes into picture, in the sense, can we use it as a complete therapist per se? But at the same, one more question that also comes is, so should we not use AI at all? So we have to build or kind of stay in a mid path, where I say maybe AI can be used as an assistant to the therapist, so that it helps in collating the data or collecting information from client quickly, give a summary of it to the therapist, so that therapist can be more proactive in that sense. Or maybe it can be used as a first aid tool with all the boundaries set, that beyond a point it doesn't take the role of a therapist or getting to the diagnosis and other things, but maybe uh, kind of provide emergency suggestions or emergency support. Because one of the things that happens is most of the people do not reach out to a therapist in the beginning. They reach out only when they have lost all the options that they have in their hands, and then they are in a kind of cliff situation. Either you fall or somebody come and save you, right? So, and as therapists, we are having a very scheduled life. In the sense, if I have given an appointment to somebody, then I have to honor that, because the person is waiting for the session. Now, suddenly, if there is an emergency case that is coming, I may not be in a position to handle it because I'm attending somebody else. So, in such cases, maybe it can be used. But unfortunately, a lot of techies are using this space in a very bad way, abusing, rather, I would say, uh, because people are not really maintaining the ethical standards to build an AI tool to take care of the mental health, even at the first stage. So that's a hard reality of today. However, what I would say is, as a psychologist, instead of simply cribbing about AI being abused in that way, I would say, let me do something so that I can train the AI in the proper way, so that that becomes a healthy AI which can take care of the first aid, but at the same time create its boundaries and say, hey, this is now you have to take a session from an expert, because at the end of the day, human touch is very important. If psychology is such a field where without human touch, you cannot go beyond a point. So that is what I would say. So, and whether you like it or not, AI has penetrated everywhere. Whatever can be repetitive or whatever can be done, AI has penetrated. So we have to use it in a better way, in an intelligent way, than just say, let us not use it, or completely becoming kind of victims of it. So if we are able to build that healthy balance, then we will be able to sail through the game.
That's perfectly which Sundar Pichai also has mentioned about responsible AI. So the entire globe is on that dialogue because we don't know for what it can be used. Even a lot of media reports are coming, so we are not authentic to claim, nor it's not our portrait. However, I truly respect your point that use it for repetitive tasks or making the profession more efficient, not a clinical diagnosis, but a preliminary information can be skewed based on which the client consultation can happen. So, because it can be sent to 10, 15 clients and then the data sourcing happens rather than talking to each person. I truly admire your thoughts. And Akshara ji, it was wonderful talking to you. We are very happy that one, we got a celebrity psychologist directly to talk. Second, ManoSamvaada. Again, the naming. इतना सोच विचार किया है आपने एक एक शब्द के लिए, which is so valued, and your words of knowledge is being transferred. The entire 15 traits of S, starting with S. Then being a Sahai for a lot of people, there also S came. So this is beautiful, and we are very happy that we could get you on our podcast. Your views are highly appreciated. Your opinions are highly respected. Let the larger audience get to know more about Akshara ji, and very much curious to come and attend a session on leadership. So, any closing thoughts from your end?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I've been telling in general to many of my clients, that be authentic to yourself. That's the most powerful way of being. So that you can acknowledge your emotions, you can acknowledge your thoughts. At the same time, you can get into the right place wherever you want to be and own your space because you're authentic. You're not faking. I'm always against this idea of faking, fake it till you make it, but rather be authentic and really own it so that you have an authority over whatever you do. So uh, I think I would like to conclude this conversation, which is very fantastic. I mean, the kind of questions that you have asked are very different and very thought provoking. Gave me good or enough space for me to express myself. So, thank you for giving me that opportunity. And I have been authentic in this conversation so that it can reach larger audience. Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this.
Gentlemen, with this, we are winding up our show. And I would request watch, comment on what Akshara ji said, how you are able to resonate. Connect with Akshara ji. He is available online also. Make the best use of learned professionals in the right manner rather than watching Insta reels and probably getting into a trap and going at the end. Can you help me out? So, a lot of opportunities are there in this world. Use the right talent, use the right source, and Gen Zs are very smart in that space. You know how to get things done, but talk to learned professionals like Akshara ji so that a lot of your unnecessary fear baggages, as the conversation started, 90% of us are having unnecessary baggages. So had we chosen that 1% which is really essential, we could have created a difference, one for our life, second for our family, and third for the society at large. So all thanks to Akshara ji for giving this beautiful note. And next time we'll catch up with another entrepreneur, another celebrity in that space. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much.